Welcome to the channel, welcome back to the channel. This is Andrew Wolfe, and today we're going to be talking about lovely, lovely Boulder, Colorado. We're going to talk about specifically building like your guide. I'd like to help you out in the process of what it really takes to move here to Boulder, what it takes to make it your home, and how to really do it effectively. So let's go ahead and get started. So first of all, why are people doing it, man? What's the big deal with Boulder? Why is it always on kind of those top places to move in the United States list? What makes it special? One of the biggest things is going to be the lifestyle. Really, really connected to the outdoors. The community itself is very, very small and tight-knit. So, I mean, it's big enough to get done what you need to get done, but it's not going to have that huge big city feel that Denver has. You might experience from where you're moving from, depending on where you're moving from. And it's really hard to capture. It's just gorgeous to look at. Kind of as you're cresting down into the town off of Highway 36 there, just the gorgeous, gorgeous flat irons, picturesque, and you really can't put it into words on. So I would strongly encourage you, the lifestyle, the people, the community, the landscape, and the beautiful visuals. There's so many reasons why people move here. And obviously we'll get into some of the more practical reasons as well down the road, but let's start off with the pretty stuff, guys. It is drop dead gorgeous. The people are awesome. It's a great location relative to Denver, and it's just a lovely place to live. All right, now we're talking a little bit about where we are. Where is Boulder, Colorado in the grand scheme of things? So Colorado is a small, perfectly square state, more or less in the middle of the United States. It's a little on the western side, but let's not split hairs here. And if you look at the state itself, Highway 25 kind of splits it to the north and south. Highway 70 kind of splits it to the east and west. And then kind of sprouting off of Denver, there's a Highway 36 is what it's called. And that kind of goes northwest and dumps you right down the middle of Boulder, Colorado. So like we talked about, it's a really gorgeous scene when it comes in here. It's, not quite the foothills, I would say, that kind of starts near Evergreen and Bailey and those kinds of things, but it pushes you towards the foothills, gets you very close, and gets you pretty darn close to the mountains as well. You're probably looking at like average 45-minute drive. On a good day, you might get there with 30, might be an hour on a higher traffic day or a tougher weather day to get to the actual slopes to enjoy some skiing. The city itself has a pretty wide footprint, but it's not as dense, obviously, as a city like Denver is going to be. So geographically speaking, it's nice and easy to get to Denver, nice and easy to get to the mountains. You're going to be kind of set apart here. The Boulder bubble is a common phrase that gets thrown around here because you have great access to a lot of features, but you are kind of set apart a little bit here and have a little bit of privacy in your own tight-knit community here in Boulder. All right, so what is daily life going to get like? How can you prepare yourself? Well, it's active, first of all. Boulder's routinely voted one of the most active, one of the most fit cities in the entire country. So that's kind of the expectation. The culture really does center itself around being outside, whether it's hiking, biking, just going for a walk or a run. Spring and summertime, people still do like cross-country skiing. They do it on rollerblades. But if you like, indoor activities as well, there's yoga, there's jiu-jitsu, there's just an endless amount of great opportunities to be physically active, to connect with their community around those activities. It's also very outdoor focused. People like to garden. People like just to soak in the beautiful nature all around us. Education is also very important. See, Boulder is here, so you get people pulled in from kind of all over the country and really all over the world to study. And there's also a strong focus around events. Up and down Pearl Street, there's great buskers, concerts, and sporting events, and all sorts of things being held at the university as well as the Boulder Theater. So it's a really great community. You can really get everything done you want to get done, but not have the same hustle and bustle that you might have in a bigger city, though Denver's just like a 30 or so minute ride down the road if you want to have that. So what are the pros of living here? Great place to live, whether you are an individual, whether you have a family, whether you're a younger person, really all walks of life can find a great place to be in Boulder and a great community to be a part of. I would put that as one of the strongest pros of Boulder, is just the tight-knit community, the ability to find yourself here. It's very open to transplants. So if you're looking for a place to hang your hat, Boulder is going to be very welcoming of you. It also has a strong commitment to nature, enjoying it like we talked about, but also to keeping it beautiful. So there's a lot of great green initiatives put forth by both the county and the city. There's great composting programs, great recycling programs. People, generally speaking, clean up after themselves to keep all the hikes and the nature walks and everything about Boulder very, very beautiful. So that commitment to nature goes over and above just going out and enjoying it, but also taking care of it and being a great steward of the awesome nature all around us in Boulder. Some of the cons of living in Boulder, though, it's important to talk about those as well. It's certainly, the big one is it's expensive, right? It's one of the more expensive places to live in Colorado, and Colorado is generally thought of as a more expensive state than average. So, the cost is definitely something to consider. Though we've talked about in several videos, and I'm happy to connect with you directly, there are places to purchase in Boulder at all price points. I put out videos of homes under $500,000, and some of those were under $300,000. I put out videos of homes in the $5 to $750,000, and then of course $750,000 to $1 million and north of that. So really, most any budget can work in Boulder. You just have to be smart and strategic. I'm happy to connect you with a great lender and a great professional can help you work with the money side of things. And I'm happy to help you shop strategically to make sure that you're making the right decisions if you want to make Boulder fit in your budget. Another con is kind of, staying on the real estate thing for a second here. The inventory is going to be a little smaller here. Boulder doesn't allow the same amount of like development as you might see in some larger cities, and part of that's a really great pro, and part of that speaks to keeping Boulder beautiful and keeping that community tight knit that we talked about so far. But obviously, less homes and high demand generally means higher prices, so that's something to factor in. But again, strategy can really overcome that. And also, I would say lastly, it does have a tight knit, somewhat slower feel than it might have moving from a bigger city. Obviously, Denver's very close by, but people move from Kansas City, Chicago, a lot of the larger cities in Texas are common places for people to move to, and Boulder is a great target. But you have to go into it knowing that you're moving to a college town and a smaller town. It's not going to be that big, huge city with big, tall buildings that always has something going on and has a crazy nightlife. There's plenty of stuff to do. There's great bars, great restaurants, great events. Easy to get to Denver if you want to have that bigger city vibe. But you're going to live in a smaller community, a tighter knit community, so you have to be prepared for that change if you're moving from a bigger city. All right, so let's dive a little deeper into that cost of living discussion. So obviously we talked a little about housing prices here, but other things are generally speaking going to be a little more expensive as well. Groceries can be pricier. Gasoline can be pricier. A lot of those day-to-day things that we factor in to our overall expenses, you have to account for a possible upshift in what those costs are depending on where you're moving from. I would say a good thing in the realm of expenses, if you do choose to buy a home here, you're probably going to pay less in property taxes than you might in different states. Colorado has, generally speaking, very low property taxes relative to a lot of other places around the country. So it's not all bad news when it comes to cost, but we want to make sure we're factoring that whole thing into our budget. Again, I'm always about doing things strategically, so we have to make sure our whole budget's accounted for. So when we make that choice to buy or rent in Boulder, we're making that choice from a great, well-studied place, and that we're making the right strategic decision so we can make happy with our home in Boulder. And if your goal is to buy now or eventually, you want to make sure we have a plan around that. And we may not buy our dream home the first go around here in Boulder, but we want to make sure we're setting ourselves up to climb the ladder and get to our ideal home in Boulder so we can really enjoy our whole lifestyle here. And a great way to work better within that budget is look at some of the nearby towns. Lafayette, Louisville, Superior, Gun Barrel, all are going to offer you access to the Boulder lifestyle, but on at least a little bit of a smaller budget, right? So we can look at some of those options as well, get you to downtown Boulder in 5 to 10 minutes by car and not quite pay those same Boulder prices. So you get the lifestyle at a bit of a discount. And then maybe if you want to live in Boulder proper down the road, we again shop strategically, make sure we're letting the prices accumulate, equity grow, then we sell and get you into Boulder proper. So I'm all about strategy, guys. I'm here to work with you. The economy is very, very strong here. You're going to have great jobs in tech, great jobs in education, lots of opportunities to work for startups. You can see the idea behind growing something, building a community together, and that really entrepreneurial spirit is very, very strong in Boulder. So if that speaks to you, or if you work in some of those fields, healthcare as well, it's a great opportunity to, get in here, work in a field get a good income, and live in a great place. And obviously there's also a lot of remote workers in Boulder. So if you do have that opportunity where you currently work and you're really in it more for the lifestyle and you already have a great job, Boulder's a really, really great destination. Education also tends to be very important to people, whether you have children that you're thinking of putting into the public education system here or thinking about sending to college here, or whether you yourself are thinking about furthering your education in Boulder. Obviously, CU Boulder is an amazing university that offers, undergraduate degrees, graduate degrees, great opportunities to work there and network and build your education as well as your business opportunities. Boulder's a great place to target. You can rest assured that both you and or your children will be taken care of and have great opportunities to further your education locally. The weather, guys, I gotta tell you, you really can't beat it with a stick. The worst kept secret these days in Colorado is the weather's pretty awesome. You're gonna get 300 plus days of sunshine here. Now, that's not to say that you shouldn't come prepared, because there will be snow days. It will get windy. There will be other things to factor in. But, if you have a pair of sunglasses and a coat in your car, you're covered for most of our weather events here in Colorado. I would say, think about if you are moving from sea level. I myself am a transplant from Oregon. I've been out here for coming up on 20 years. You will want to give yourself time to adjust. It's an awesome place to be active. The active lifestyle we talked about is a big part of the culture here. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water. Making sure you're giving yourself time to acclimate to the higher level of elevation if you're coming from sea level. So don't throw yourself in the deep end too early, guys. Let yourself be healthy. Let yourself acclimate. Drink plenty of water. Eat plenty of good food. And you'll be able to jump right into your activities like you would normally expect. And the weather's pretty awesome to do all of it. All right, guys, as far as getting around town here, it's pretty easy to get around. There's a great public transit system locally here called the Hop, the Skip, and the Jump. That's the bus system that gets you around Boulder. Tons of great bike paths, tons of great ways to take your ride to work and not even have to worry about crossing cars or crossing traffic most of the time. If you want to commute to work using the bus, it's really easy to do that. Obviously, driving is not too bad. Traffic's not nearly what it is in and around the city of Boulder as it is in Denver. Now, if you commute to Denver, that can be a bit of a bear commute-wise. Some days, I would say most days, you're looking at 30 to 40 minutes. But if traffic's really bad, if there's a weather event or you're going to rush hour, it can push that 45-minute to an hour time frame. But if you plan ahead, it's pretty easy to get around it. And like I said, getting around Boulder itself is kind of a breeze. So who is Boulder the perfect fit for? Well, if you're a person who really likes being part of a community, you're okay with, taking a bit of a drive to access the big city, but you like having a little bit, slower pace of life, and you want to have a tight-knit community that really invests in each other. If you like a healthy, active outdoor lifestyle, if you like, great local eateries, if you like heading out to great local events, if you don't mind, being in a college town, I think Boulder's an ideal fit for you guys. And really, it's about kind of making that lifestyle connect with you. So if you want to shop strategically from a budgeting perspective, if you want to get some great insight into what it's like to live in Boulder, I'm happy to connect with you guys in person. So leave a comment. I'll respond to all those. I love making these videos for you guys. But if you want to connect individually, that's really, really great for me. So call, text, email, whatever works. I'm happy to help with you guys. Thanks for watching. See you guys again next time.